You're about to learn an ultra-rare secret that most men will never understand when it comes to attracting women. By the time you've finished watching this video, you'll know exactly how to engage with women, how to get inside their minds, and how to make them anticipate the next time they hear from or see you. This is you, and this is the girl you're about to talk to. What should you say? What topics should you discuss? And how can you ensure the conversation flows effortlessly? The first mistake many men make when talking to a girl is overthinking. When you're speaking with her, don't stress too much about what to say or how to say it. Before diving into the details, I want you to first adjust your mindset. Shift your internal perspective. When talking to a girl, always remember this: she's just a human being, nothing more. Don't elevate her onto a pedestal simply because she's attractive. I know this might sound a little cliched or like something you've heard countless times before, but it's critical that you internalize this truth. From this point on, every time you're speaking to a beautiful woman, I want my words to echo in your mind. She's just a human being. The second thing I want you to grasp is that you need to view yourself as being in a higher position while seeing her as being in a lower one. Don't worry, I'll explain how you can achieve this later, but for now, just keep this concept in mind. When you talk to a woman, her subconscious mind, the instinctive part responsible for love and finding the right partner, is analyzing you to determine whether or not you're the right man for her. If you've been following this series on how to attract women, you already know that women are emotional beings drawn to their feelings, but in this episode, we'll explore this in greater depth. Let me explain what attraction means to a woman. The most fundamental and critical concept you must understand to succeed with women is attraction. Without a deep understanding of how attraction works, you won't succeed in dating or relationships. There are no exceptions to this rule. Unlike men, women's decisions are often driven by emotions rather than logic. They feel something, and they act on that feeling. Because their actions are rooted in emotion, they don't consciously control who they're attracted to, or who they aren't. Attraction is a subconscious reaction triggered by certain behaviors men display. To create attraction, you need to integrate these behaviors into your personality. But before we get into the specifics, let's clarify some key points. Women have no control over who they're attracted to. Women also can't control who they aren't attracted to. This means that attraction operates entirely on a subconscious level outside of their conscious control. Picture this subconscious part of a woman's mind as a radar. The moment you start talking to her, it activates and begins scanning to determine if you're a suitable match. This radar is independent of her conscious mind. If the radar determines you're the right person, her logical mind won't be able to override it. This explains why many women end up falling for bad guys who mistreat or cheat on them. Her logical brain may keep warning her, "You're making the same mistake again," but her emotional radar takes control. Before we move forward, keep this fact in mind. Every woman, from the moment she's born, has one primary biological goal: to find the right man for her. This might not align with the messages you hear from society, but it's a biological truth. A woman could be a scientist or an astronaut working at NASA, but her ultimate goal remains finding the man her radar identifies as the one. This choice isn't conscious. It's her internal radar selecting the right man for her. So from now on, whenever you're speaking to a girl, remember that her radar is always scanning to evaluate whether you're the right match for her. This radar picks up on various signals from you, but one of the most important is whether you appear to be above her in value or if she views herself as above you. It determines this by observing your interactions, whether you treat her in a way that suggests you see yourself as superior or as someone beneath her. If your behavior signals that you believe you're better than her, the radar registers that, and this is when she starts to gravitate toward you. I understand this might sound a bit tricky or even confusing, but stay with me. By the time you finish this video, everything will make sense. You'll know how to leave any woman, no matter who she is, thinking about you non-stop after a conversation, even if she doesn't realize why she's doing it. So, what should you say or do to make this radar recognize your higher value? Let's begin with a simple yet often overlooked factor: body language. If you've ever looked into body language, you've probably heard things like, "Keep your head held high," "Don't put your hands in your pockets," or "Sit with a straight posture." Forget all of that. It's useless and won't help you. Instead, focus on these three critical aspects of body language. Point 1. Lean back. A mistake many men make is leaning toward the girl while talking. This unintentionally signals excessive interest, which can be a turn-off. Instead, develop the habit of leaning slightly away when you're speaking to her. Point 2. Walk away. Another thing to practice is almost walking away when she says something you disapprove of. For example, if she says, "I'm not really interested," you could respond with, "I get it. You're probably too much of a nice girl for me anyway," and then begin to walk away as you say it. You'll likely notice her either stepping toward you or trying to stop you with a comment. Attractive women aren't used to men walking away. They're accustomed to being pursued. By doing the opposite, you demonstrate high value, which naturally makes you more intriguing. Point 3. Sit comfortably. This point is the most crucial. Imagine sitting beside someone you deeply respect, or someone with significant status. Chances are you try to sit properly, showing respect, and avoid appearing too relaxed. Now, picture sitting next to an old friend or sibling. You'd likely sit however you feel most comfortable, leaning back, stretching out, and not giving much thought to your posture. When two people interact, the one with higher value is typically the one who feels completely at ease. This is the attitude I want you to adopt. Sit in a way that makes you comfortable. Lean back, stretch your legs, or put your hands wherever you like. Stop worrying about how she might perceive your posture or movements. When you let go of the need to appear a certain way, you naturally project confidence and high value. Women instinctively notice this, even if they can't explain it. Now that we've covered body language, let's shift to conversation. The 50-30-20 rule. Here's a simple formula to follow in any conversation with a woman. 50% of the conversation should revolve around her thoughts, experiences, and personality. 30% should focus on the surroundings or neutral topics. 20% should be about you. Why does the focus lean more toward her? Because in any conversation, the person seeking approval tends to talk more about themselves. Imagine you're in a job interview. The conversation will revolve around you, your skills, personality, and abilities, not the person conducting the interview. Why? Because you're the one who needs the job, and they're the one in control. The same concept applies when you're having conversations with women. The person who talks excessively about themselves is usually the one seeking the other person's validation. That's why your focus should be more on her than on yourself. Let's start with the first point, talking about her. How do you do that? In a previous video, I introduced the listen like a therapist technique. If you haven't watched it yet, you can check it out after this video for a more detailed explanation. To summarize, though, the conversation should be centered around her, what she enjoys and dislikes, her childhood, her life goals, her dreams, how she spends her free time, and even her perceived strengths and weaknesses. You get the idea. Now, 30% of the conversation should touch on your surroundings or other unrelated topics. During this stage, here's something crucial to remember. Don't overthink what you're going to say. Just let whatever comes to mind flow naturally, as if you're chatting with a friend you've known for a decade. It's perfectly fine to say something silly. In fact, it's better than appearing like you're trying too hard not to. Let the conversation meander across different topics. Avoid staying too serious or focusing only on deep, important subjects. Picture yourself as if you're casually chatting while a bit tipsy, just relaxed and saying whatever comes to mind. By the way, if you've made it this far in the video, I want to let you know about a free ebook linked in the description. It includes some almost forbidden psychological techniques that can make women irresistibly drawn to you, regardless of your age, looks, or financial status. Check it out when you're done watching. Now, during this 30% of the conversation, don't be afraid to joke around or say whatever pops into your head. If you find yourself disagreeing on something, don't get worked up or try to win the argument. Remember what I said earlier. You don't need anything from her. You don't need her approval or to make her agree with you on everything. Next, let's talk about the 20% of the conversation that's about you. Here's a golden rule. Never try to impress her by making yourself sound amazing. Don't boast about your achievements or adventures. Instead, when you talk about yourself, sprinkle in a bit of self-deprecating humor. Share stories where you come off as silly or slightly ridiculous, not as the hero. This will show her that you're not looking for her approval or admiration. Another key thing to keep in mind is to add an element of mystery to your personality. Being mysterious doesn't mean you have to fabricate or fake who you are. It just means not revealing too much about yourself too quickly. A common mistake many guys make is giving overly detailed answers to simple questions. For instance, if she asks, "Where do you work?" Most guys respond with something like, "I work at ABC Company in this position, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. This kind of answer, while honest, can unintentionally lower your perceived value. Instead, try handling it like this. If she asks, "Where do you work?" you could respond with something playful like, "Whoa, easy there, detective. We just met and you're already grilling me." Do you see the difference? Keeping your answers light and teasing keeps her intrigued and wanting to know more. Here are some other examples. Her: "What are you doing Saturday night?" You: "Something fun, but it's a secret. Can't share. Sorry." Her: "Have you ever been in a relationship?" You: "We don't know each other well enough yet. I don't share personal stuff with strangers." Her: "What's your name?" You: "Take a guess. I'll give you a candy if you get it right." Now that you've grasped all of this, there's still one potential hurdle: the tests she might put you through. Women have an internal radar that instinctively pushes them to test guys to see if they're the real deal. These tests are designed to determine whether you're genuinely the person you appear to be or just trying to impress. When these tests happen, they often throw men off balance. Even with all the strategies I've shared, one unexpected test could make you lose your composure, forget everything, or make her doubt your authenticity. So, how do you handle these tests? Don't worry, there's a solution to every problem. I'll break down exactly how to navigate these tests in an upcoming episode of this series.